I went to Bolt Guitars headquarters on a Friday afternoon to go and meet the guys. Sam came to the door, he walked me in. It's a small office space really, with ground floor and first floor. Ground floor, they have like the boxes with the guitars and a few cases and a few things, and the desk that you see on the videos where Martin was doing proper fret work, like checking frets and setting them down and running them off, and like doing a really good fret job on each guitar that comes in. Then we went upstairs where I was shown where they have the dies, where they mix themselves, because it's like a process that needs to be done, so when you can use it then when you get the kit, and they cut the foam for the boxes, so everything is like packaged nicely, everything is checked individually, so it's not like a drop shipping thing. And as soon as I started talking to them, I realized, no, these are guys just like me, basically, right? Adults that like guitars, they gig, they have their bands. I think they have a band together, or at least part of them, and this is what they enjoy doing. So after a bit of the normal politenesses, we sat down, we set up the mics, and I asked them like, why did you decide to do this? Why? What motivated you to do this instead of something else? And this was their response.
Yeah. So at first we were talking about, so I run a web design and development company, and I build a lot of websites for people that go on to sell products, and we've been instrumental in making a lot of people very successful at doing that. And it was my wife, who runs the company with me, that said, you know, maybe we should be doing this for ourselves. So we started banning the idea of, instead of running a business-to-business service, we'd start selling a product. And we looked at a few different bits and pieces, but it sort of struck me that I didn't want to just go selling anything. It could be selling bananas or anything. We wanted to work with something that we actually really enjoy. The idea really came from joining guitar building groups or guitar groups of any description. There's some very, very large communities online talking about building guitars. And it sort of struck me that it was a little bit of a, I hate to use the word toxic, but
but it was toxic.
Yeah.
More when you ask a question, you get ridiculed for not having known the answer already, or something. Right. Or you get
fed a load of jargon, which I mean,
you're forever asking, what does that mean? What's one of these tools or something?
First thing, I had no idea about it, and to go onto these groups was very intimidating. Because that's what you get presented with. You get presented with a lot of jargon, and
that's it.
You don't know.
and people say, there's no such thing as a stupid question, but I think that this is one of those arenas wherein a stupid question gets met with lots of comments where people will take advantage of that. And it just struck me as not a particularly nice place for somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. And they all get told the same thing, and they all get the same poor advice. And I sort of thought, there's an opportunity here to do something. We came up with this concept of anyone can build a guitar, anyone can build guitars.
Yeah.
Because, like, quite genuinely, there are some bits and pieces that, and I mean, fair play to them, give them their props, the luthier masters that have honed their craft over the years. I take nothing away from them. Martin, and the work that you do, it's taken a long time, and you're very, very skilled at doing that. But that doesn't mean that it's not something that anybody can get involved in. It just means that, starting out, having to start from somewhere, was there a way of giving people a bit of a leg up? So that was where we came up with the concept for anyone can build guitars, which then we changed to Bolt Guitars, just because we thought anyone can build guitars.
It's not great for SEO.
It's not. Well,
maybe it's better though.
But it's still it's still the ethos of the company. Yeah, it's still the ethos of what we do. Proven that in the people who have had our kits and built our kits. You know, these people who haven't necessarily, don't even have, you know, they're not particularly handy or crafty or anything like that, and they've followed the process, and they've got to get some of the guitars that are sitting upstairs.
No, when I said, you know, everybody gets the same advice, and those people get the advice that, you know, if you want to start, go and buy a cheap kit online and, you know, experiment with it, learn the lessons, and then go from there. But a lot of the time, I think that disenfranchises people, because the best that they can expect is, if they bought a cheap shit kit, is a cheap shit guitar, you know? So, like, why would anybody? It's like,
it's a waste of money. It's like, well, that's money here that you'll get barely anything out of it, and with no guidance,
this is it. You know, it was just a case of, it struck me as a bit of a gap, because I've played guitar since I was 13 or something, and now 40, and I also am like quite handy. My dad was a carpenter, and it just sort of struck me as, like, why have I never been interested in building my own guitar? And the fact of the matter is that I just think of them as poor quality, you know, and it's like, any of my guitars that I buy myself, I could buy 6 or 8 poor guitars, you know, but I don't do that. Why, that'd be ridiculous, you know. So why, you know, if I'm not going to go out and buy a shit guitar, why would I want to make one, you know? So that's where we came up with the idea of, like, sort of hand-picking the components that go into making this kit a really high-quality kit, and providing people with that leg up. So we pre-set up all of the guitars, like you saw Martin working on the necks. That's, you know, Martin will tell you a bit more about all of that in a minute.
So, segueing from there, so what's components? On the next video, we're going to just continue to see the interview, and we're going to understand a bit more about this pre-setup and what makes this kit really different from everything else that's on the market, in my opinion. And I think it's quite revolutionary, and I don't understand how people haven't done this yet, because it's the most important thing with all guitars, and skyrockets any value proposition that we might be wondering about the product. It has like this almost chunky feel to it. Without shoulders.
Yeah.
Is it like a C? Is it a C?
It is like a modern C, but it's just a little bit chunkier. So again, it's modern, but it's got the best of both worlds, effectively.
Yeah.